This is Inside Mside, your favorite podcast for all things Morningside. Hear stories from students, alumni, faculty, and more about what makes the Morningside experience so special.
Hello and welcome into this latest edition of the Inside Mside podcast on our YouTube channel or your favorite audio platform. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Zach James, your host, and coming up in this episode, we're going to celebrate the Morningside Cheer Squad as they are national champions. They competed in the NCA College National competition last month, and they came away with the Intermediate Small Coed NAIA Championship with two strong performances down in Daytona Beach, Florida. You'll hear from Morningside head coach Maci Ohm, who is a Morningside grad herself, and senior Amber Hofmeister after their campus-wide celebration last week inside the Olson Student Center. These are audio-only interviews, so keep that in mind as we move forward, but that doesn't take away from the pride and the excitement and all the emotion that they express in these two interviews. Let's start off with those interviews, and we'll start off with Morningside coach Maci Ohm as she came away with the national championship, and she's very, very proud of her team. And the first question I asked her was how proud she really was of bringing home a national championship.
You know what? I wholeheartedly believed in this group, so it's been a really full circle moment for me. It still feels pretty surreal being an athlete and now a coach here. It just feels super full circle. So yeah.
How sweet does it feel being an athlete now, as a coach, bringing a national championship home?
I think for me, the coolest part of this experience has been since I've been here to now, there's just been so much growth that has happened within the program. I've been here for 4 years now, so to see just the advancements that have been made and the progress and the new opportunities that have been afforded to us just really make me smile and make me happy.
Walk me through that progression from when you first became coach, and we can talk about that in a minute here because I want you to tell that story too, because I know that story and it's a cool story. But walk me through the progression of when you took over the program to now and just how that progression has been made.
To put it lightly, I think coaching styles were different before me, so it took some time to find athletes that aligned with my coaching style and believed in what I also believed in. So being 4 years in, I really feel like I have finally found my core group of athletes where they share the same philosophy as me. We're trying to cultivate an environment where they feel supported and they feel heard and seen, and I'm hopeful that they learn life lessons, more than just cheer lessons here, more so life lessons too. So just, again, seeing the growth and the progress that has happened since I've graduated and then since I've taken over this program is pretty incredible.
What was the moment like when you all found out that you were national championship champions? What was that moment like?
A breath of fresh air, a lot of weight lifted off my shoulders. It took a lot of decision-making skills, a lot of hard conversations to get to this point. And to be very honest with you, there were some doubts that crept in throughout the season, like, did I make the right decision? Did we move in the right direction? And so when our name was announced on that stage, right by the ocean with that giant trophy, it was a culmination of all the events that led up to it and just feeling pretty accomplished and finally like I made the right decision.
How did that confidence that you made the right decision just prevail through? How did you know that the decisions you made were the right ones?
I think a little bit of that is the fake it till you make it. So maybe the confidence didn't start showing until later on. But again, I faked it, and I'm pretty big on intuition and gut feelings, and I felt like this was where we needed to go, and so I went with it. And I owe a big thank you to my team for trusting me because there was a lot of unknown. So the trust that they had in me and myself and the trust that I had in them to get this done was exactly what we needed to make this decision and then to have it be pretty fruitful.
So let's kind of get into the decision here, going into NCA instead of NAIA. Just explain what that decision entailed and what the differences are between NCA and NAIA and all that stuff.
NAIA and NCA are two completely different entities. With the NAIA, we had competed in it for the 3 years that I was here, and obviously previously before me. And to be honest with you, there was a lot of scoring discrepancies. It felt like they just weren't as structured and organized as what I felt a collegiate competition should be. I don't feel like certain programs were given fair opportunities as others that were more well known. So underdogs had a hard time getting their name out there. So I knew that NCA has been around for a long time, much longer than the NAIA competitive cheer world. And so I felt like giving NCA a chance where it was completely unbiased. You have no idea what teams get bids to go out there. You don't know the judging. I just felt like it was a new resource for us to use to see how capable our team was. With the NAIA, most of the competitions that we went to were hosted by other NAIA schools, and it was always up to the host coach to find judges, which of course I'm sure you understand leads to them hiring alumni or people that they're friends with, or it just it didn't feel like it was always fair or consistent. You know, you'd score an 82 at one comp, and then you'd go to another school and you'd get a 67. So just the inconsistency was pretty draining and tiring, and it's hard to go back to a team and tell them what they did wrong or differently when realistically it was the judging. So yeah.
How consistently did this group perform the entire year?
You know, after we got our choreographer in October, that was their first time with choreography, and he was incredible. Shout out to Luis from Spirit FX. That was also his first NCA routine, so pretty incredible accomplishment for him. But this team, when they got this routine, they were determined and ready and fueled to make this work and make this a championship routine. So, of course, we went through battles and struggles, but they worked through them. They worked through them together. And it resulted in the two best routines I had ever seen going into prelims and finals a few weeks ago. So
the group got down to Daytona Beach. Walk me through how they performed in prelims and how that momentum went into finals.
Yeah. So prelims, I'm going to be honest, we get there, and the first 3 days in Daytona Beach, it was like we were in the Amazon rainforest. There was torrential downpour, winds, the waves were huge. We really spent most of our time inside, so it was kind of cooped up, really envisioning and thinking about what we wanted to make happen on Thursday. It ended up so that we were supposed to compete Thursday for prelims and then compete Friday for finals. And because the weather was so bad, we got pushed and had to compete Friday for prelims and then Saturday for finals. So going into Friday, we had an amazing practice. We had a great warm up. The mindset was really just, let's leave it all out on the mat. That's what you say in cheer. And I really believe they did that. The goal was to hit a hit zero routine. It's pretty uncommon to get zero deductions at NCA. Just because of the nerves, right? And they did that. And when we received our score and saw that we were 6 points higher than that second place team, it was a pretty pat on the back moment. We just did that. So going into finals that next day, it was more about, let's just own this routine one more time. We know we can do this. We know if we can do what we did yesterday, this championship could be ours. And so that was the mindset. And they did just that. I would say it was better round 2 than round 1, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, well, your best performance is your last performance. That's what you want to see out of these guys. What's it like seeing this group be ear-to-ear smile on a daily basis?
It means everything to me. I think more so seeing them see all their hard work pay off, the sacrifice, the time, the dedication that they put in to this season. For me, it's everything to see the smiles and them repping these NCA jackets that everybody wants to wear. It means everything to me.
Right, I mentioned it earlier in the interview, but I do want to have you tell the story of how you got the gig and just what it means to you to be coach.
So there's a few parts to this story. So I was a cheerleader here at Morningside, and when I graduated, I started Apex Elite All-Star Cheer, which is another club cheer program, of course. I live and eat and breathe cheer. So I coached Apex for a few years, and my co-coach knew the previous Morningside cheer coach here, and when she caught wind that he was leaving, I kind of put a bug in her ear. I'm like, well, I'd like that position. And so I found Jim Sykes' email, and before the job was even posted, I shot him an email and just said, hey, I'm interested. I would love to have an interview and talk about this position. And I got an interview and haven't really looked back since. I would say what makes this, again, an even more full circle moment for me is the fact that my Nana, my grandma, Sharon Dornan, and my grandpa, John Dornan, both were alumni from Morningside, cheerleader and football player. And then, again, my grandpa was also the football coach for a few years. So just... yeah, I don't know, kind of continuing the legacy is pretty cool.
Next up is senior Amber Hofmeister, as she's one of the many members on that successful national championship squad. And the first question I asked her was basically the same one I asked Coach Ohm, just does the feeling still feel real of being a national champion?
I'm kind of still on a high, but I'm also really sad that it's my last year.
What's it like just seeing the Morningside community provide so much support?
I love it. It feels so special, and it just makes my heart so warm and so happy seeing everybody supporting us and being here for us. And I'm really grateful that the band was able to be here, and they really know how to elevate a room and get the vibes up. And I'm just really thankful and blessed to have such a good community at Morningside.
When did you all know that your group was a special one?
I would say this year. I know Maci mentioned having hard conversations and everything, and she also had hard conversations with our team, and we sat down and we talked about everything that was going to happen if we decided to go to NCA, and everybody was just kind of ready to take that leap and trust Maci and trust each other. And I think that's when we kind of knew that we had a special trust that can't be broken.
How important did you need to trust Maci in that decision going from NAIA to NCA?
It was really important because we've been in the NAIA since cheer was established as a sport here, and it was really comfortable. It's what all the schools around here do. We go to NAIA, we go to GPAC. Yeah, it's just what people do, and it's just where people are comfortable. And to say that we're just going to completely drop it and go to NCA required trust from everybody, and trust that Maci knows what she's doing, and she's really smart. She's a big part of the cheer world, and she saw that belief in us, and we had to trust that we could see it in ourselves too, since Maci saw it. I think that we went in really confident to NCA because we had so much trust in each other and love for each other, but it was also kind of a toss-up of what was going to happen there because we've never been there. And I think it just really showed that we worked hard and we put our all out there, and it won us a championship.
What was that moment like when you all found out that you were national champions?
It was crazy. It was really surreal. I mean, I didn't expect it, to be so honest. Like, as my senior year, I did trust Maci, but I also knew that this was something completely different, and it could go one of two ways. And so when we hit that second routine, I think we all kind of knew where we stood, and then they announced it up on that stage, and it was just amazing. It was a moment like no other.
That'll do it for this edition of the Inside Mside podcast here on our YouTube channel or your favorite audio platform. Stay tuned for the final 2 episodes of our series for the school year, as they're big ones. Digital marketing specialist Alice Sandstruck sits down with President Chad Benson as they take a look at this past school year and the highlights of that, and they'll look ahead for what they're looking forward to for the 2026-2027 academic school year. So stay tuned for those episodes as they'll drop 2 weeks from today, as well as on June 3rd. So stick around with us for a couple more weeks as we'll roll out a little bit more content. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. For everybody here at Morningside University and the University Engagement staff, I'm Zach James. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this edition of the Inside Mside podcast. We'll talk to you next time.